just brought this rifle back from the Central Florida Muzzleloaders monthly meetup, and I'm going to clean it now. Having gained experience from my previous cleaning, I'm changing my technique in its entirety. Also want to talk about some of the things that I've learned today in shooting this under different conditions than last time, when only several rounds were fired and I had time between the rounds. Today was the first time I actually had issues where it failed to ignite. This was due to two reasons. Number one was a short flint. This is the old flint that I've pulled out, and we had an issue on the range, and I had assistance from one of the individuals. We were able to take the flint. In one case, I was able to get some more life out of it just by bringing it forward, but there wasn't a whole lot to work with. What we ended up doing on the range was simply turning it over, which was able to give me the shot that I needed, and then at that point already it was too unreliable. Went with this flint right here, this English flint that I have from Track of the Wolf. This is obviously brand new. It's been used once or twice, nice and sharp and flat. Another issue was the touch hole getting plugged. I put a lot more shots through this in a lot shorter duration of time than in the previous video. And the pick that I've been using or attempted to use for this for my percussion rifle is insufficient. I've learned this. So I'm going to get my hands on a proper pick for this. I have a pick, believe it or not, for this type of rifle, but it's like big wrought iron or pig iron pick, and I'm not going to use it for this. I'm going to get a proper one and call it a day. That being said, the problems with misfiring on this gun was readily identified on the range. It was easily solved, and there was no cause for concern. These are known issues with these firearms, not a big deal. However, cleaning last time was a misery, right? Because the cleaning method, which I use the same stuff to clean, which is, hot water and just a little splash of ballistol. That hasn't changed, but it's pinned to the barrel. And the last time the attempt was to put a little water in and plunge it and then rinse it. And I tied like 5 bandanas around the barrel because I was so paranoid about water getting in the wood. And I went with this time. This is a flush kit. And this is what we're going to go with, because the other one was just sticking a toothpick in here, and no. So this is what I'm going to do. This is what I'm going to do on video, and we're going to give it a shot right now. The one freebie, of course, on this rifle is the removal of the lock. I'm going to take the lock off. We're going to have a nice look and see how deep the debris has made its way through. So I'm going to carefully remove this. We'll take a look at the pattern. Try and get this off nice and flush. Just like that. There we go. We're looking at about 20 rounds today going through this rifle, and we can see that there is a nice seal right here. It really doesn't get passed down in here, so this is pretty good. Once this is cleaned up on the outside, nothing really gets past there. And the same can be said, obviously, for the lock at that point. I mean, this is still going to be cleaned, but it's not like it really gets caked up in there in the mechanics of the thing while you're shooting. So I could see just a little bit of blow by right here. Probably could have been tightened a little in retrospect and looking at that, but nothing terrible. And this stuff is caked on. It's like mud. I don't know if it's that really fine powder that just collects a lot of moisture. This hasn't been sitting here that long. I mean, I finished shooting today, and this is on the way home, and then just sat there for a couple hours, and then I've taken care of this, so I'll clean it relatively quickly. So you can see there's no rust or anything. Everything's fine. I wasn't entirely happy with this, though. This piece, it's not pinned on or anything. It's not nailed on. It was just glued on. And when I took the first shot today, when I came back, it was like that. And the glue just attached. You can see the glue here. So I wouldn't lose it on the range, obviously. I put it in my box, and I could reattach it. German silver always needs repolishing. It tarnishes. But I'm not sure what to do. I'm going to have to consult TVM, and see what to do about this. If it should be re-glued, or if I should have a gunsmith put a screw through the bottom of it, if there's enough meat to put a screw through the bottom. I'm not quite sure how to handle this. So I will go to them for direction on this. Also, now's as good a time as any to pull the ramrod, so I might as well just get that out of here now. I'm going to follow the instruction manual. As I've never used this before, I'm reading it. It's just out of the field of view here. One thing I did do was blow into this hose and then put my finger in the front of the barrel to see if there was a good seal, if I got this right. But it's easy to see when it's centered on there. Do not over tighten, it says, and I was sure to follow that. So I have the device mounted just like that. Now I'll put it up on my stand and I will set up the hot water and ballast oil. The stand is one of these Y hooks you could buy at Lowe's, and then I put some automotive hose around it for extra cushioning around the wood. So I've got some water just under boiling temperature. I'm just going to put a little splash of ballast oil in. I'm going to try and put a little splash. There we go. That's it. I'm going to put a little bit on the patch. Now I'm beginning. All the way down. Now I'll draw. And you can see the fluid drawing in. Working very nicely. That's far enough. And back down. And in. Wow, look at that. That worked very nice. There is no water anywhere on the rifle at all. Everything is perfectly dry. And I'm not in any rush. I mean, I could stand here and do this. I could put the rifle back up. I could change the water if I so choose. And I might just do that. So I'm going to put the rifle up and pull the patch out and see what I got. So here's the patch that I've removed. It makes a good device. It becomes the perfect tool for this job. I'm going to change the water. Which I generally wouldn't have to do for this, but since I'm testing and demonstrating, I feel that that's just fine. I'm going to change the water, change the patch, and repeat this procedure all over again. Last time I haven't been going very high up the barrel, you know, I've been sort of just testing the appliance, so now I'm going the full range here, so. I think the important part of breaking up the black powder was accomplished, though, with this, you know, running cleaning patches through at this point would do well to finish the job. Big chunks that were in there are probably gone. Then I go all the way back to the breech plug and twist it a couple times. Loosen any matter that might be back there. Disconnecting the unit is the only time where you have to be concerned about getting water anywhere. Have a paper towel on standby, as I will demonstrate while disconnecting the unit. You could then turn the barrel upside down or something to get rid of the excess water. No water at all, nothing at all. No cause for concern. Flip it over, point it down towards the water. There's no water. I could safely put it back on the stand. This product worked perfectly as advertised. I'm very happy with it. Lock is getting kind of funky. It's already been about, I don't know, 45 shots. I'm going to drop it right in the water and ballast oil while it's still hot. I'm going to scrub it with a toothbrush later, dry the whole thing, use my heat gun, make sure it's totally dry, and then re-oil it, and that'll be it. Here's the wet patch pulled from the rifle already. The inside of the barrel is perfectly clean at this point. I'm just going to do a couple more for good measure. This is the final wet patch with the ballast oil. We're done. That final patch is then used to coat the metal of the gun with ballast oil. It's also not bad for the wood either. See some black powder residue coming off just from black powder in the air. Remember, none of the outside of the gun has been cleaned at this point, really. You know, just as far as what was handled and whatnot. This is just first getting started now. Find the area that's not shiny. It hasn't been cleaned yet. You can see the patch is turning black from the residue. Most notably, this area right here, this takes quite a beating. This area. Metal definitely does not like the explosion that happens over here. The only alternative is to not fire the gun. I don't like that, so it is what it is. I'm thinking maybe you could actually put like a heavy dose of oil or grease right there before you go shooting. Let me absorb some of that. I don't know. I have to make an inquiry. We have to get the end of the ramrod too. This gets the brunt of the attack. We're gonna have to hit this with some Moz. Moz will clean this right up, no problem at all. We're gonna jump to the lock now. There's not much to cleaning this thing. Just hit it with a toothbrush, really. Get everything off. That's about it. Lock is now as clean as new. I'm gonna dry it off, and then I'm gonna heat it with the hot air gun to make sure it's completely dry, and then I'm gonna oil it, and that'll be it. So I've washed it out in clean running water, and then I've dried it, and then I put it on the heat gun just very mildly, heat up the metal, and that allowed for all of the moisture to dry out of the crevices in the metal. And now I'm going to apply some rem oil to it. They say don't get any oil on the frizzen, but you can always remove any overspray with alcohol. I don't think it's highly critical. Generally, they don't work well when they get oil on them, but you also don't want to get any oil in here, but you can remove oil from there too. I think it's better to oil them and clean them up later than to under oil. Although you shouldn't over oil it. You should just make sure you apply oil everywhere, but I just oil it and then remove the excess is what I do. That's how I just do everything. I'd rather over oil and then remove it than have something rust. Rust, I think, is the worst of all things. So now I'll put the lock back in. I've removed all the excess oil. Looks really nice, actually. Look at that. Nice and clean. Just have to clean this here and here with alcohol and the Flint, and that's it. Straight as she goes. It's back in place. Drop our screws back in. We'll clean it up, we'll test it out. Lock is back on, we're gonna test it out. Very good. That concludes cleaning the Tennessee Valley muzzleloader left-handed flintlock here of the pinned variety where you can't remove the barrel. And in this case, using the Primitive Hunter's Flint Flush kit as demonstrated. I hope you found this video useful and or enjoyable. Thanks for watching.